So we've made it difficult for ourselves with this setup when we're going to discuss in reflections. We've got a chrome stag's head, which is a kind of a bookend, and then we've got a small vase, a mirrored vase, with glass behind and with some small flowers in there. I'm not so much worried about it as a whole product shot. I chose them because they'll give us difficulties, and that's the great thing. I think if you have a problem, it's easier to show you how to solve it than just jump straight to the great shot. What we want to do is solve the kind of solution. Well, what's it going to do? If I overlight the chrome, it's going to look flat and dull and not three-dimensional, exactly like we could have had with that vase in the last session. With the mirror, if it sees anything, it's going to reflect it. And I'm going to fake it up with a red cushion in it, so it's going to be in the front so you can see it. Because I could be in the workplace, I could be in a warehouse, I could be in a client's home, wherever I could be doing a load of product shots. I could see reflectancy from windows, from tungsten light, from lighting, from computer screens, from people as they walk past me. Now, I'm in black, so the majority of the time it's great because I'm going to hide everything of me. I don't want to wear a kind of a black hood over my face and black gloves and everything else because I'd be looking a little bit weird, I suppose. But what I want to do is minimize reflections, and that's what we're going to do. So that's how we're going to use this front panel. To begin with, let's look at the problem first. If I just, by the way, the setup here is the bottom light, so the one inside reflecting up, the backlight coming through, and we've got the one light onto the side here, which is going to light the objects themselves. We're down to 3 lights. The first shot is going to be of the 2 products together, because that's really what the problem is. So let's just do that for a minute. Let me just focus in, and making sure my focus is tight. Not so much worried about the flowers in the shot, even though obviously if it was a product for sale, we would. I want to show you the difficulty with the chrome. Now, that's great. We've left the front flap off, but look what we've got here. We've got that black line on the mirrored vase, and that's our problem. If I fake it up for a minute and I just show you the reflection, I'll just put that in here so you can see it. And now, even though I've exaggerated it, you can see how it's really changed its overall look. But I want a white face on the vase, on the mirror. I want a white face. So how am I going to be doing that? The only way is to put the front screen up. The problem here being is that once I put the front screen up, is that I start to lose the definition on the stag itself. So I'm just going to unzip that a minute and try and poke my little lens through there. So that's how we control reflections. However, I must say that if we do a quick review of those shots for a minute, you'll see how we built that up. In one of them we faked it, we put that red cushion in the way. In fact, in one of the shots you can even see my hand when I took another photograph, and I left it on the barrel while I triggered it and things. You can even see my flesh on the hand with that. But let's go back to the image. Yes, we cured the reflection on this mirrored vase, but did we get the best shot of the stag? No, I don't think we did. And that is why it's a quick way within Photoshop to basically clone the 2 images together. And that's where a tripod really comes into hand, because you can just overlay those 2 images and wipe through the vase to bring back the overlay where it doesn't show any of that black and things really. But remember, with reflections, they're either going to add to the photograph or they're going to be a negative to the photograph. So decide on how it's going to play its role before you start. If I was just doing the photograph of the stag by itself, probably the light's going to come from above and one off to the side, as I said. If I'm doing the shot of the vase, yes, I can still shoot high key with that image and keep all the information on the flowers. And you've just got to make sure that the lighting style that you use suits the subject that you're photographing. And that's where you decide on whether you're going to use left or right or behind or from below the light quality. So let's move on and just see how we can illuminate the underneath of a product with the underneath light. One of the benefits of the Studio Cubelite is the ability to light from beneath. We've covered that twice today, looking at the stag and the vase. But when we're looking at a product here like this toy car, it's naturally when we light from overhead to illuminate the inside of the vehicle, the bonnet and so on. That's doing our one job here, but it's always going to create that shadow underneath. Let's just take that shot for a minute, just so you can see it on screen. Now you can see it's okay, there's overall illumination to it, it's quite nice, but it doesn't really kind of give us a bite. It doesn't give us a three-dimensional kind of effect. But the most important part here for a minute is this shadowing that we've got beneath the vehicle. And of course, that's being caused from the overhead lighting. So if you wanted to illuminate that, the quick way, of course, is just to switch that underneath light on. And now we've illuminated the shadow area beneath the car, and now it begins to float. So in other words, we've got rid of that kind of shadow. To this though, I know this is a 2-light setup, we could just drop products in and out here to rattle through them. So if we had a dozen of these toy cars to photograph, within probably the case of, 4 or 5 minutes, we've done the whole lot. They're all ready to go off to the client, they're ready to actually upload to their web designers or to brochures, whatever you're going to be doing with it. However, I would add a third light in. I would just like that extra little bit of specularity just onto the back part of the light here. So the light furthest away from us at the front of the car, that's where I want to give our specularity, and that is why I'd add in that third light. Just to give us that little touch of light to give a three-dimensional effect through specularity, because what we always want to do, of course, is create a 3D image no matter what. Okay, let's shoot some glass. We're going to cheat now, and even though the product was really not designed to do what we're about to do, we can get some great reflections. So you can see I just removed the translucent kind of fabric or the plastic that comes in to give us that lovely curve. But if you want to move away from just a curvature, by using the Perspex base here to give some reflection, we can really change the results. I've swapped over to the 100mm macro now because I'm working in pretty tight, and we're just on a small object. So I'm just going to shoot this one. And you can see we've got a really nice effect. And if I just pull the camera back a little bit more to get some more of his reflection, you can see how nice that would look in a catalogue, giving us some really great shots. Of course, if you wanted all the reflection, if you wanted kind of a higher viewpoint, just hiring the camera on the tripod. Little tip, if you're using a tripod, remember that when you start to use this middle stem, you lose the functionality of what is a tripod. It now becomes a monopod because the only support it's got is this one pole. So remember that when you're using a tripod. But for now, let's just cheat and we'll just shoot that again, change that angle position to include a little bit more of that reflection. And I think you'll agree that that is a lovely kind of next step to a great little product. So not only can we use it with the translucent material to give that curve effect, but now we can also use the Perspex base to give us reflection. There's another quick tip for you with the Studio Cubelite. The great thing about it is the aperture is just big enough for us to be able to extend a boom arm or kind of studio stand through to be able to clamp on the likes of a branch or some kind of product that we want to feature in the photograph, especially when we need products to drop or dangle because we need to let gravity have their hold on them like material. Another quick way is to also support the product through the likes of the material above. To do that, we just lay a small piece of wood across the top or a stand. We tie some fishing wire to that, which is almost perfectly clear, it's so thin. And then we tie the product to it. And we feed it through the material just with a needle, and then we tie it onto the product itself. And it's a great way to have some animation in a natural kind of hanging mode for a product. I'm just using the reflector to just bounce in a little bit more in the specularity of the light itself because I want a soft light throughout the whole thing, but I just need that little kind of crispness to the bauble at the same time. So without that, let's have a look at a stag's head and how we increase the contrast within the image by using some black card to give us control of where the shadow is going to be laid. Okay, quick tip. Chrome, take the photograph. But if it's got too much of that washed out and the lack of the three-dimensional pieces of card, not by Lastolite, I'm sorry, you can get them anyway at all. And all we do is just position them within the frame, just at a shot, to create the black line or the shadow that we want to run within the frame. because all we're trying to do is really give it some point of texture and reflection. You might have to add 2 or 3, even 4 little black edges within the scene to create it. So it's quite funny in a way, because you think about it, the Studio Cubelite, it's designed to give us this completely 360-degree softbox, this wraparound of light, very, very diffused light, the light source. But as photographers, even though we need that, we also want the facility to be able to go in and create the contrast and the kind of separation to the product each time. So think about what you're trying to achieve with the different products. If you're going to rattle through a whole host of photographs during the course of a day, line them up in their kind of product line. So if you've got a load of glass to do, try and do those out of the way. If you've got a load of ceramics where they've still got a bit of reflectancy, try and do those. Chrome and mirrors, make sure you try and do those together. Unfortunately, at times when you're doing big catalogue runs or web shoots, you've got to do them in the order that you're given them, because they'll all have a numeric on their base or whatever. They'll all have their label there. So you've got to do that. But I think you'll agree, by the end of this long kind of tutorial for Lastolite, you've seen how versatile this great little product is in the Studio Cubelite. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Mark Cleghorn for the Lastolite School of Photography. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.